Well, she puts her best foot forward for a living. Tamara Mellons made a name for herself as the founder and chief designer of the luxury shoe brand Jimmy Choo. But since stepping away from the company in 2011, the British businesswoman is dipping her toe into a new project. Did you like
that? Was very clever. You've saved that all week to use it on a Friday.
Yes.
Our very own entertainment reporter is dipping her toe. No, it makes no sense. You see, it's good when you do it, not when I do it. Catherine Eisman got an exclusive look at what is in store. Catherine, one Kylie Gillies so excited about this. Tell us more.
Exactly. Well, every fashion lover has either owned or dreamt of owning a pair of Jimmy Choo shoes. So it was a real treat to catch up with the fashion entrepreneur who started it all.
In the high glamour world of high heels, there's a name synonymous with luxury and style that has lifted as many women's spirits as derrieres, and that name is Tamara Mellons. For over 2 decades, the entrepreneur and designer built lust-worthy footwear label Jimmy Choo, which she co-founded in '96 and was responsible for turning the humble shoe into a chew.
That was the reason I founded Jimmy Choo, because in the early 90s, when I was an accessories editor at British Vogue, there was one shoe brand. The accessories explosion hadn't happened yet. So as an editor, I was tired of photographing the same thing all the time, and I found Jimmy, who was a cobbler in the East End of London, and I would get him to make things for shoots. And then I'd photograph them, and I'd put his name in Vogue.
Is it true that you founded Jimmy Choo because you were actually fired?
My drug and alcohol addiction kind of escalated at that point. The editor took me into her office in a very British way, said, "Tamara, we feel that you've outgrown your job here." I knew what she meant.
Very nice way of putting it.
Very nice way, very British way of putting it. I knew what she meant. And I checked myself into rehab 2 weeks later with the idea of forming a Jimmy Choo company when I came out. So I was very determined and very focused in my actions on what I was doing. It was the kick up the butt I really needed.
After exiting the label in 2011, Mellons is back, this time with a shoe label with a more familiar name, her own.
Hey, I put some new shoes on and suddenly everything's right.
What was behind your decision to leave and start your own label? That must have been incredibly scary.
I'd been through 4 private equity deals at Jimmy Choo, and I didn't have the majority of my business anymore. And unfortunately, what happens when somebody else owns a majority is you end up feeling like a guest in your own house.
In the flesh, Tamara Mellons, the woman, is every inch as tall and elegant as the shoes she creates. Both surprisingly, perhaps even unexpectedly, thoroughly modern, even pragmatic.
How different aesthetically is Tamara Mellons, the label, to Jimmy Choo, the label?
Well, it's still me. It's still my DNA. I take myself with me, so if I was still designing Jimmy Choo today, this is probably what Jimmy Choo would look like.
In the short time since launch, the shoes have already been spotted on the world's most photographed feet.
We had a moment that was amazing where Gigi Hadid and Kylie Jenner were presenting at the AMAs, and they both walked on stage wearing the sandal. When Hailey Baldwin wore the blush Linger boot, and she just looked so beautiful.
And did they sell out?
We sold out. So we sold out of the blush colour immediately.
Oh, and she received an OBE for services to the fashion industry from the Queen.
You have to go up to her and you curtsy, and then she pins your medal on you. And as she was pinning my medal on me, she looked at me and she went, "Oh dear, I hear you make shoes."
For any entrepreneur watching this, particularly a female entrepreneur, what advice would you give them?
If you just focus on the passion, the money will follow.
In September, the London-born shoe designer relocated from New York, setting up her global headquarters here in Los Angeles, turning Woody Allen's former office space into somewhat of a shoe lover's paradise.
'Cause I've been thinking about it, and I've been dreaming about you. Want to think about this.
You have had a strained relationship with your mum, which you've been very open
Yes.
about. How do you think that
your childhood and that relationship influence you as a woman?
I think it gave me, funny enough, a lot of drive to succeed because I knew that also that would be my freedom. When you have the type of mother that I grew up with, they say there are only two ways that daughters go. You either go into drug addiction or you become an overachiever. And somehow I seem to have done both.
You have a daughter, Minty. How old is she?
She's 14.
What has that relationship brought into your life?
The greatest joy. It's really special, and I guess what I can do is I can parent her in a way that I wished I'd been parented.
And with that, it was time for shoes.
Walk this way, go this way. She told me to walk this way.
I always say my shoes are for looking good, being comfortable, and kicking ass.
Go this way, well, just give me a kiss.
Great motto. I love that.
Oh yeah, and
I know.
she's really amazing. Like pragmatic, creative, like phenomenal stuff.
Yeah,
You got to try on some of her shoes. What did you think?
Oh, what do I think? After I stole all of them, no, they're amazing. They look uncomfortable, as every good designer shoe should, but they were surprisingly comfortable. And she said she considers herself somewhat of a feminist. And so unlike the majority of luxury shoe designers, which are men, as a woman, she tries on every single pair. She makes sure that they're incredibly comfortable. And that's her way of expressing her kind of feminist mantra of you know, kicking butt, but being comfortable doing so. So all of them very comfortable, unexpectedly.
Yeah.